Good morning, everybody, and welcome into a brand new video. Let me tell you, I've been very impressed with you Bulls. This week. To be honest, you guys have been pretty much executing everything I've been saying in the last two videos. I've posted a video on Monday, I posted a video yesterday on Tuesday, and today I thought, you know what? I think I might be the lucky charm. Because every single time I give actually, I may have jinxed it, you guys. I'm not gonna lie. I think today might be it with the positive news, right? But I don't know. I'm feeling pretty good. As of right now, Bulls are trading at 682.37. It's currently 8:30 a.m. So we do have some time, and currently this is what it looks like in a chart. Yesterday I don't know if we could technically consider this closing in the pattern. I mean, it's damn near. I mean, it's just barely. If it is, it's just barely, right? And I guess, you know what? I guess why not go ahead. If we end up breaking lower today, like let's say I'll adjust this back to where it was, bringing it around here, the support trend. If we end up closing below 679.61, just because actually I'll just put it back for intents purposes. This could have been a situation where it's like, okay, maybe we're rejecting this resistance trend, right? And depending on where we open, like I think if we open up around that 682 level, which we currently are near, right? My level is 682.62. If we open up above that and we see bulls hold, let's say today we can go as low as, and this is based off the old support trend, right? Like the unadjusted one, right? So let me go ahead and see what the low of today might be. So around 680.60, right? So okay, so if we see bulls hold this range, right? Now I'll even put a zone here. Let's go ahead and make it like this, right? So 680.60. I'll put it down here, right up to down here, right? All right. Yeah, so around that 680. Which one is it, guys? Jeez. I want to say, yeah, 680.70. Let's just put it like that. So that 680.70 to that 682.62. Sorry, okay, that number is very confusing to say. So let me put a level here. Yeah, so okay. So if we hold this zone, right? I think there's a solid chance that we see 689 today, right? A pretty solid chance. This would be on Monday. We tried it, right? We reclaimed the trend and we tried it. Yesterday we didn't quite, reclaim the trend that like we did on Monday, and we did have a bigger wick down here, and we are, closing lower each day, right? So that's not a great sign, right? But to simplify things, this trend is going to tell us everything, right? And the levels will also, confirm whether or not the move will be higher or lower. So in my opinion, it's, if you're a bull today, and we're going day by day, right? Today, Wednesday, holding 680.72, 682.62, right? That zone would mean that we're holding this rising wedge support trend. And at that point, I would be very surprised if we don't see that retest of 689.70. Now, that retest of 689.70, it's vital, right? Because really that's what's going to confirm everything, right? Like, okay, so like if we look at the last 3 weeks, like of the candles that actually closed, we went above 693.33. Or I mean, we can go as far as the last 5 weeks, right? So every single time we went and tested 693.33 and or broke above, which once again, I've been saying this in every single video, and I've been saying this all of last month. Rejecting and trading below 693.33 leads us to 642.96, right? So it's a pretty massive drop, and I will stand on that as long as that level is resistance. Okay, now within the last 5 weeks, we got the close every single time we tested and broke above. That led us to new all-time highs. We ended up getting the weekly close below 693.33, right? Starting on the week of February 9th, that really, after getting back to back, so two closes below, showing that we couldn't support 693.33. That following week, which was the February 9th one, was when we went, it was a red weekly candle, right? As you can see here, mine is brown, but it's a red one. Now the following weekly candle, we continue to support the trend and the levels that we needed to support. And once again, 689.70 will always be the first level to act as a magnet, and ultimately 693.33 is their main goal, because this supporting this level will lead us up to 700 and to new all-time highs just in general, but 700 plus, right? And as you can see, the following week, after we had a green weekly candle, after supporting the levels that we needed to do, we have some consolidation. Now, I'm just going slightly back, but we had some consolidation, from January 19th all the way up to February 16th. So, that move higher made sense. Now, then we have the last week. So the last week of February, which also gave us the monthly close. Not only did we end up testing 693.33, but we rejected it hard. We ended up getting the weekly close below 689.70. So it makes sense that we go into this, and plus the monthly close. Like if you didn't see the video that I posted last week covering the monthly close, how important it was and how that could, indicate that March might play out more on the bear side, which so far the start of March it has been, right? Obviously we had the Iran conflict, and that's basically the main thing that's really been driving us lower. So, with that being said, as of right now, I think a retest of 689.70, it's vital to see how investors react at that level. If we continue to see a liquidity, because it's obvious that we have a liquidity zone up here, right? It's obvious, like especially above 693.33. At that 689.70, I just want to see if those support levels are just making lower lows in a sense, right? Maybe this week we don't even see 693.33, which in a sense, like I said, it's a lower low, right? We're not able to break above 689.70, which before we kind of were with ease, right? There's only 1 week where we didn't do it with ease, and that was the February 16th week, and that was the last time where we actually didn't break above it, right? And then yes, we had the following week we did manage to break above it, but we ended up closing lower, right? Lower than that week. So that's if you ask investors, what do you rather, right? Do you rather close just below 689.70 but the body is fully green and full, versus we go above 689.70 but we sell off instantly and then we end up closing lower than we were in the previous week? Like obviously investors don't like that. So I do think that there's a solid chance that we see 689.70 today, right? And once again, as long as we hold that 680.72 level, that 682.62 range, we should see 689.70, and we can't even rule out 692.33. If we break above 689.70 and we support that level convincingly. We should see some pretty good bullish momentum towards 692.33. So I don't know. I haven't really checked the news today, so I don't know if things got worse or better. And I think in general, I think the markets and investors are just confused, right? People might be anticipating a deal to come. People might be anticipating things to get drastically worse. So with all that being said, investors are really, if anything, investors are just going to be sitting and kind of thinking like, hey, look, do we want to go fully in? I think a lot of the day traders are what's going to be attacking mostly, right? Especially those that like to do those zero DTE contracts. I know they're probably having fun, but on the bear side, and once again, this whole week is going to be vital, right? But on the bear side, they want to break below that 680.72, right? That's 679.61, and we hadn't seen that actually happen during market open. The last 2 days we've been gapping down, trading below the rising wedge support trend. So we haven't seen us open the market within that trend, while trading above levels that bulls want to be trading above, and then from us to and then to us to see bulls actually break the trend while market is ongoing. I think that might lead to at the very least yesterday's low, right? So yeah, if we see bulls or bears break below 680.72, and the main confirmation will be 679.61. Once we break below that level, if we do today, 675.78 will be your first target, 671.56 will be your second target, and we will most likely see those two levels. I have a pretty I will be very surprised if we don't see that 671.56 again, if we end up rejecting 679.61, right? And that's like just the most guaranteed levels, right? Now at that 671.56, it's good to reevaluate once we're there, if we get there, right? Because we did support it yesterday. We did go a little lower yesterday, and they tried to test the 668.94 level, but there was some volume down there, so it is what it is. But once we get to that 671.56, if we do, it's important to recognize, we could have a double bottom here, in the short term. It's important to see, and even in the short term, like what pattern are we forming, right? If we're forming a falling wedge, or a bull flag, or a bull pennant, or something like that, right? It's something where it's meant to be watched, and we are actually, as a matter of fact, we are trading in a falling wedge, or in a bull flag up in the 2 hour, right? So it's like, let's just see, like, that 668. Yeah, you know what? Wow, it lines up pretty well. Hold on, let me go ahead and just put that there. Yeah, look at that, everybody. There you go. So that bodes well, right? So if we have, say, even if we test my 668.94 level, but we're going to be watching from that 669 or 669.66 level, which was so far this year's low and yesterday's low. You want to start paying attention to that, right? And see, like, okay, hey, do we get a double bottom? Most likely we don't get a double bottom. I'll be pretty surprised if we don't see that 668.94 level and just test this support trend. Let me adjust this because it's not fully as clean as I would like it. All right, there we go. Got it. So yeah, so that 668.94 down to, let's say, 667.98, right? So that zone right there, that'll be a zone to watch if we end up breaking below that 680 level. And let me out of curiosity, okay, so in the pre-market right now, because I added this resistance trend here because it's been acting as it's a very short term one. It's just I like to just have it on a chart just to see how we react when testing it, and continue to see if that downtrend holds. Now, obviously, breaking above it will lead us up to 689.70, right? So as of right now, we are above, right? And like I said, I've been saying this all week, this week. I don't pay attention too much to pre-market, after hours, all of that, because to me, it doesn't really matter. To me, the only thing that matters is how do we open, where do we open, and, from there, actually judge that, right? So as of right now, if we open up at that 682 mark, we could see a massive breakout coming into the day, right? And it could be a false breakout. That is something to watch. Like if we instantly open above 682.93, 683.94, and then we just sell off completely, and then we're back below that 680 level, I would say that's pretty bearish, right? And at that point, all eyes need to be at that 679.61, 680.72. Well, I mean, at that point, if we break the 680, yeah, we're all eyes on 679.61. You just got to pray that we hold that, right? And we did get the daily close above that, so that was the goal that I gave bulls yesterday, to try to get the daily close above that at the very least. So I do think that does bode well going into today, but we all know that the markets, at the very least for this week, it's all news driven, right? So depending on whatever comes out, obviously, stay vigilant, but yeah, I mean, I'll continue to update this tomorrow. Let's go ahead and, look at Tesla, because, once again, bulls are following what I've been kind of giving them. Once again, they're trying to, prove this triple bottom here, right? I mean, we went a little lower, yesterday, but what matters is the body did close, and I do like the look of this candle, right? Kind of like a hammer. So that is a pretty good looking candle. And it's showing that there are buyers down here, right? So as of right now, we're at 400. 404.09 is the level that bulls really want to get above. The last 2 days, we have not been able to get above it, which, could signal something that it's a level on the chart for a reason, right? So it's something that we want to continue to keep our eyes on. And if we do reclaim 404.09, then you guys can't expect 414.50. I mean, this is the main level that bulls really not only want to get above, but they want to get the weekly close above this, right? This is a very important level. I mean, I've been covering this all week once again, but trading above, like reclaiming 414.50, leads us to 488.29, right? That will then become our main target. Not for this week, but let's just hypothetically say this week we get a weekly close above 414.50. Next week we get a weekly close above 414.50, but most likely we would end up getting a weekly close near or above 430.04. At that point, it's like, we're taking steps higher up the stairs, right? Because once we reclaim 430.04, that opens the door. We most likely see 456, right? I mean, this is a very, very bullish level. And not to mention, we're in, as of right now, we're in a falling wedge, right? We're not invalidating anything, from the best of my knowledge. As long as this is, good, and you know what, I can actually adjust this trend here because, I do like the fact that there is some investors are respecting this trend, right? I don't know if should I just change it? I'll just change it to black. Yeah. So investors are respecting this zone right here, right? So, that's something that I'll keep my eye on. And once again, these levels that we're supporting are important, right? Like 390.11 and 387.53 are vital. As long as we support 390.11 and 387.53, our main target is gonna be 430, right? So, first obviously we need to prove and get above 414.50, and funny enough, it's gonna line up just above the resistance trend for the falling wedge. So that would mean that we would have to break above the support trend slightly, but it's not a legit enough break. Like the confirmation obviously won't happen if we don't reclaim 414.50, right? So that's what bulls want to attempt. And if we break above 414.50, I mean, honestly, we could see 430, right? So I know if you're bullish on Tesla, trust me when I tell you this is vital, right, to look at. Now, if we continue to reject 414.50, if we do test 414.50, to me, this is the level that, I have a feeling that a lot of people might be looking in for puts here, right, especially with all the things going in. And usually if you've been following, if you've been following Trump in terms of how he likes to, I don't know, let's say set up the markets, it seems like over the weekend is when he likes to give, let's say, bearish news, right? So throughout the week, he kind of keeps things as clean as possible, right? As long as he can maintain stuff. Now, in this case of the war, like obviously there's a lot of things dependent. There's too many variables, right? Like Iran, other nations and things that whether other nations want to help the United States, and whether Iran want to, actually get a deal done or they have a bigger plan up their sleeve. But with those variables, as long as things are fairly, let's say, controlled as much as possible, right? Considering the circumstances, we most likely might, even if we have a bullish week, right? Coming into the weekend, you got to hope that the pattern doesn't continue, right? And Trump doesn't say something or something occurs during the weekend to which, once again, we're going to go into the following Monday, into the following week, kind of reacting to all the new news that's coming out, right? So, as of right now, like in the short term, I would just say, if you're a bull, first of all, you want to reclaim this rising wedge support trend. We did get the close below, right? Which is not great. And as of right now, yeah, we're kind of, we're in it. The body's in there, but once again, you really want to get above 404.09, right? And if you saw the video that I posted yesterday, I did show like an example of the rising wedge where, usually after breaking below the rising wedge, we see a retest of this trend to see if what was once support turns into resistance. And if this turns into resistance, aka the level base will be 40409. If we cannot break above 40409, if we continue to resist 40409, even as high as 407, let's say, we might see a lot of people buy puts here. And we most likely go back down to 390 and 387.53, right? So, so I covered the bull side, right? 40409 is what you want to reclaim. This trend is what you want to reclaim. You want to hold this, and then you want to really, really go up to 414.50. And this level is going to tell us everything, right? Once we see 414.50, if we do, once again, I think this is a place that investors might be looking to buy shorts if we continue to reject this, right? Because I mean, it's been multiple days. I mean, just count them: 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 6, 7, 8, 9. We have 9 out of 10. So one day we managed to close above, and the following day we went above. But out of the last 10 days, 9 of them we closed below 414.50. So there's an obvious, there's a liquidity zone there, right? People are selling when touching and or breaking above. This is and once again, we see the importance of it. Like once we reclaim this 414 level, like we see the run that we go on, right? And regardless, when we do reclaim this level, 430, 436 are the levels that we go to. And I was covering Tesla during this time, and we ended up testing my levels. Like I kept stating this, right? So we weren't able to go as high as, higher than 436, which is not great. This is the reason why we're in the situation that we are today. But I mean, yeah, this is that 40409 at the very least is something you want to watch. Because once again, rejecting this is bad news. That would mean that we're rejecting what was once support and it's now turning into resistance. And from there, this could be a full breakdown. Today could be a full breakdown of this rising wedge, right? And then nothing is 100% in the stock market, but like 95%, 96%, we see 390.11 again, right? And 387.53 is right back in the conversation. And, once again, the good and the bad news of trading within a falling wedge is that as long as we are in a resistance and as long as we are rejecting and there is weakness, the good news is, yes, it's a bullish pattern. The bad news is we have to drop in order to, kind of play out, another touch of and we don't necessarily have to touch the support trend again, right? But, and like I said, because in the short term, at the very least, we do have this trend here to watch, which, once again, if this 390.11 and 387 level continues to hold, I guess we could see a double bottom, and what to look out for as well is this double bottom from yesterday's low candle at 385.40. So if we go down there and we continue to have a quadruple bottom, let's say, then we have to got to start respecting this trend even more, right? So as long as this trend holds, we shouldn't have to see let's say 383.99, 377.79, right? We don't have to go even as low as 368.99, which is possible due to the falling wedge, right? We just need to reject 387.53 in order to make that possible. So there you go. I gave you the game plan for both bulls and bears. Let me go over Bitcoin quickly. Look at that. We got a breakout out of the pennant. Nice. And once again, that 68,843 levels is very important. This is the level that I've been kind of stating that, hey, and looking at the macro view, this was the zone where, I kept expecting 57 as well, but the main zone was really here, right? Starting from that 65 to that 57,000, right? And, there we go. We have 4 weeks to which, bulls. And you see, what I like about it here is that not only did we support the zone, but you see how many candles we got the week close above 65,751. So that really means that anything below 65,000 was a clear buy for Bitcoin investors. And let me see what the close was here. 65,700. just above, literally $3 above my level. So that's back-to-back weekly close. So this run right here for this week makes a lot of sense, right? And once again, 81,000 is my main target as long as we're trading above 68,843. And 87,000 is the main level that bulls want to reclaim, right? But as of right now, 81K to 87K is the zone that I'm expecting as long as we support 68,843. So once again, if you're an investor, and we're trading above 68,843. We are supporting that level. We are defending that level. We are holding that level. Trading above doesn't matter. We are above that level. 81,000 is the level you can expect first, then 87, right? And then from there, we're going to reevaluate, right? From there, we're going to see whether or not we start ranging here. You know, if we get one more test and we reconfirm 81K, we reconfirm 87K and reject it, then, you know, at that point, the play towards 57,000 might come back and play. And as long as 87,000 is resistance, we can expect 57,000 to happen at some point, right? At the very least 62K, but 57,000, I mean, the door is wide open. So yeah, I'll leave it at that for Bitcoin. Nothing too much. I kind of like how it's looking. We did have a breakout of this pennant, which is great news. There we go. You see, pretty clean. I don't know. Maybe my eyes are. Let's go ahead and. I hate that I say good news here and potentially spot a bearish pattern here for you guys. I mean, but hey, always good to you know, stay prepared. Yeah. Hey, can't lie. It's real. Can't say that it's not. So yeah, so we are trading within a rising wedge, and you know, short term we could be bearish here, and we could be seeing a retest of 68,843 sooner rather than later, at the very least, right? And this could be indicating that we might see 65,000 again. You know, so I mean, for bulls, like if you want, and I highly suggest this because this is at the very least the short term. Yeah, go ahead and chart your pattern there. Get a trend line, put it at the top of the February 25th candle, right? At the top of the wick, line it up with the top of the March 4th candle, and from there, all you want to pray for is that we invalidate this pattern. If we invalidate this rising wedge, we 100% see 81,000. It 100% occurs. Like, there's no way around it. You know, invalidating a bearish pattern usually leads to a good amount of bullish volume, right? So that's what you want to see. But as long as we reject this resistance trend, we most likely see 65,000 sooner rather than later. And at the very least, that 68,843 will always act as a magnet. I mean, this is a very, very important level. And you can see, really if I'm going to be honest, we're really not anywhere new, right? We haven't been able to break the February high, right? Or the recent high after dropping. So, you know, we haven't been able to break above, what is it? 72,205, right? So, you know, you have that, and the lower I go, if I go to the top, like as you can see, like this has been kind of a let's go ahead and fix this up here. Yeah, there we go. So this has been like, look at the amount of wicks here, right? We got wicks up here, multiple wicks up here, and this is a 2 hour, so it's not the smallest time frame, right? And once again, we're getting the wicks up here, so yeah, I mean, there's that to look at, and I mean, we did have rising wedges, you know. I remember because I covered them, but we did have rising wedges like here. I just don't remember how I charted them. I don't know if it was even here, actually. I have it on my X. I'm not going to go ahead and waste time to look at it, but we did have multiple rising wedges here. I believe it was 2, but this is a much larger one. And I could even go further back here in terms of the resistance trend. Yeah, it's a lot cleaner. So this has been holding bulls down since February 20th, right? So as of right now, we have to respect this resistance trend. So yeah, so in the short term, we could be bearish as long as we continue to reject this resistance trend. And from there, you know, like I said, if you're a bull and we do invalidate this pattern, yeah, we 100% see 81,000. I'm very, very much confident, and I know investors. I mean, look, think about it. The last couple of weeks, they've been, there hasn't really been much volume. So, at some point, there's going to be some buying volume, right? If given the chance. So this is your chance right here. But if not, and we continue to resist this, you can expect 68,000, and you definitely can expect low of 67,000. Let's see. Yeah, like 67, 66K, right? So it's possible, right? It's possible, but this could be indicating that 65,700 could happen sooner rather than later. So yeah, so keep your eyes on that. I believe I covered everything. I actually wanted to cover the VIX as well, to be honest. There we go. For people that don't say technical analysis doesn't work for VIX, joke's on you, buddy, because that seems to have worked out pretty well. Anyways, let's go ahead and since I don't want to retrace everything, let's go ahead and use the auto Fibonacci. Shout out Trend Spider. So yeah, 24.98. Wow, let's go ahead and look at those charts, huh? Nasty. I mean, it's actually not that bad. I mean, Jesus Christ. When we did break out of this, there definitely is volume every single time we break above this resistance trend. I mean, I obviously never updated this in God knows how long. I probably charted this way back here, right? And there wasn't all these wicks and candles above here. So it's been a while since I looked. But yeah, 29.53. So let me go ahead and do this real quick, because I typically do love at least setting up my levels. So let's go ahead and do 29.53. 29.53. Let me make sure that shows on all time frames. Yep, there we go. And then let's go ahead and get that 24.98. There we go. So these are the levels we want to pay attention to. Oh, sorry. Oh, did it again. 24.98. Let me see. So 21.22. Okay. So there we go. 21. Let's do that really quick. Because trust me when I tell you, if you're somebody that doesn't use the VIX during these times, I'm telling you, you're missing out. Because it does really, it helps a ton. So, okay. Rule of thumb. Breaking below 21.22 means that SPY most likely goes to 689.70, right? Same goes for Tesla. There's a big chance that we're above the 404 level, and that there's a solid chance that we go to that 414 level. So this is what that 21.22 level does, right? Now, if we reclaim 24.98, that most likely means that both SPY and Tesla are probably playing with the idea of breaking below the rising wedge. I mean, we're right at that those pivot points with those with the stock market, right? So, these levels will really dictate that. And for bulls, and once again, you don't have to chart this or anything. You just have to pay attention to the level. I would put up VIX right next, right next to, I don't know if you have multiple monitors or just on your phone. It literally doesn't matter, right? Go ahead and just have VIX open. And if we're below 21.22, you're most likely seeing green candles for the rest of the market, right? And like I said, breaking below 21.22 means SPY is most likely pushing, at the very least, it's going to be 686, right? At the very least. And 689, we already know will act as a magnet, right? So that's what leads us to there, is we got to pay attention to 21.22. And this also means that we most likely are supporting the rising wedge support trend, which is obviously great news. So yeah, so you want to see VIX break below that 21.22. Now, once again, breaking above 24.98, we're cooked, right? We're cooked. And by cooked, I mean, we're probably going to be playing with the idea of breaking below the rising wedge. If not, we are breaking the rising wedge. So there's that. And obviously 29.53 is the level that we do not want to see VIX close above. Simply put, I mean, it's a rare occurrence, so it should already tell you something, right? Whenever it does happen, And I mean, closing above would be really, really nasty. I mean, but just getting above it would mean that we're probably, because think about like the highs that we've seen, right? So yesterday we saw the low of SPY. We got to 669. Well, what is the low? Yeah, 669 was the low, right? And we didn't even get above. We didn't even get above that 2953 level. So if we get above that 2953, we definitely hit 668 and lower. So yeah, so just watch these levels here for VIX. If you're bullish and you want to see your calls do well, 2122 is the level you want to see VIX break below. And if you're bearish and you want to see your puts do well, 2498 is what you want to see VIX reclaim. So I'll leave it at that. Yeah, don't overtrade. Once again, follow the plan. I gave you guys the levels. I gave you guys the patterns. Make sure to trade what you're good at. Do what you're good at. Don't overtrade. Don't over leverage. It just don't be stupid. Honestly, it's as simple as that. Don't trade without a plan. Once again, I'm always going to say that if you're trading without a plan, you're most likely going to fail. And if you're making money without a plan, you're gambling. Okay, and I mean, yeah, we all know what that usually leads to. So I'm gonna leave it at that. I hope you all have a phenomenal day. Today's Wednesday. Let's see where we are. We're at 682.61. So SPY is continuing to put up a fight. Tesla's at 400. So I'm gonna leave it at that. I hope you all have a phenomenal day. Don't mess up. Don't blow up your account, please. Thank you. Bye. Love you. Mwah.